like going to school.
True. Especially because on the YouTube channel and back in school, I made some very questionable decisions with how I dress and how I look.
Yeah, Dawn has a lot of outfits in those videos. So
and so many hats I tried. Yeah, lots of I fluctuated in weight greatly over the course of some time. It's lovely. It's really good. It's a trip down memory.
Not just engraving tips, but also style tips are included with our videos.
Yes.
Yeah. Like a what not to do. So sorry, Kelly, go on, please.
There's one last category in the acrylic, so I'll just cover it really quickly. It's the TroGlass Reverse. It's a beautiful product. So if you use our TroLaze Reverse, you know that the TroLaze Reverse is also a beautiful product, but it's more like the TroLaze, so the material's supple. It bends. The acrylic is actually kind of cloudy, so you get like a muted tone when you do the engraving. The TroGlass is a clear, glossy acrylic. So it's really, really, really fancy looking. It's available in 2 different thicknesses. So you have the 3mm and the 5mm. The TroGlass Reverse is the only other material acrylic wise that we have in the 5mm. So we have the 1/8 and the 1/4 sheets. But other than the clear, all of the rest of our acrylics are all 3mm.
Gotcha.
One more thing to mention is the glitters that we carry. The sheet size is different than the regular sheets. I believe they're 24 by 40 or something close to that. So they're smaller. Therefore, we only sell the full sheet because we can't manage partial sheets on that one. If you do need quarter sheets, we will cut it for you. You just put that in your comments in the store or let the customer service agent know. That's pretty much all for the acrylics. Lots of questions could be asked though. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it's enough of a challenge to try and explain what TroGlass Reverse is while live on stream, so I won't ask you to do that. I think that's a bit of a that's a big ask.
I can explain it. I don't mind. I'm pretty good at explaining that.
Well, would you please? Because it's one of my favorite products, but I feel like it's tough to without seeing a video of how it works.
Yeah. So it's a piece of clear acrylic with a colored backing on the back. So you would have the clear acrylic and then you would have the red behind it, let's say. And then on top of the red, you would have a white coating that kind of blocks out any light or whatever when you do the engraving. So what you would do is you would engrave on the back side of it. You would flip your image in your machine, and then you would engrave it that way. That way it mirrors the right way in the front. For the colors, so if you're backlighting it, you're just engraving off the back. If you're putting colors, and if you're putting one color, you would mask the back, do your engraving, do your painting, or put a backing color on it, and then remove the paint. Or if you're doing more than one color, you would do the first color first. So do your engraving for the first color, paint it, mask it, do your painting for the second color, engraving, painting for the second color, mask it, engraving and second for the third color, and so on until you have all of your, and you can really come up with something so fancy looking, but when you turn it around, it looks so old school because there's paint and on the back. But yeah, if you ever see one of those signs somewhere, try and look on the back of it and see what it's like on the back.
100%. But this is why I love it, because it's one of the very few materials that we have where you could have a sign that is as many colors as you like, while still using that laser process, right? Because so often I think of outside of 2 or 3 layer TroLaze, you're kind of limited in the amount of color. It's why I love inlay signs so much, where we're adding lots of different pieces of acrylic onto the same sign to get a whole, panoply of colors and stuff. But yeah, it's why I love the and it's available as a TroLaze as well, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we have the TroLaze. Yeah, it's just a little bit, it works the same way, but it's a little bit, it looks different. It's thinner. So, and it's more supple material. So it's acrylic based, but it bends, you can move it. It's not rigid like the plexi.
True. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. You said we
Oh.
were sorry. You said we were, but in a nice way. You said we were excited about the new website. We're excited to see it launch. We've been waiting for it. Is there particular things that maybe a returning user or somebody who used to be signed up to the web store and is now coming back should be excited about? What do you like most about it? Why are we excited to see it, launch?
It's just more easily interactive. There's a lot of new features on the store. One of actually this best feature that I love that's going to be available soon, but it has nothing to do with existing customers, is for new customers, but they'll be able to actually go in and check out as a guest, which we weren't able to do before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
For returning customers, one of the cool things is that you can pay right on the website. If you want to use your credit card, you can pay for it right away. Yeah, we've been waiting for that one for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And also we do accept PayPal now. So that's another really good one, because sometimes people don't want to use their credit card. They want to use their bank account. So those are two of the fun things. The Tro points, just so everybody knows, your Tro points are not lost. They're still there. We're going to be migrating them soon. So anything you've bought since April 1st shows up in the store already. And anything that you bought previous to that was in your balance before, if you haven't asked us to use them, they'll be added within the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Kelly. That's really great. Yeah. It does look fantastic too.
It does.
I love the new look of the store.
Yeah.
The old store, rip. It worked hard for a lot of years, but I love the look of the new store. It
served us well.
Yeah. Quick question from Tiffany in the chat. Will tax exempt certificates show up on the web store? Or is that maybe an implementation that's still?
Yes, however your account is set up, that is how it will show up in the store. So how we set it up determines that. So if you are tax exempt, when you do your registration, just send us a comment to say, I'm tax exempt, here's my PST number, or whatever information you need us to have to be able to update your account, and we'll do that for sure.
Awesome. I appreciate it. I should say another quick hello to everybody joining us now. I think we might have had a weird sort of connection thing when we were getting started, but you haven't missed a ton yet. I'm sure it'll still be saved on the VOD, so you can see it on YouTube when you go back to it and watch it, and of course like it and subscribe and do all the fun YouTube things. I'm joined by Kelly and Duncan. If you're just joining us, Duncan is from our TS team. He is one of the big cheeses on the TS side. Kelly is a big cheese on the customer service and materials side. So if you guys have any more questions about our materials, about our TS, about the use of your laser, I'm just here. We will do our best to answer those as best we can, and I'm watching the chat as it comes in. But a huge hello to everybody who is joining us. And Ashford Lasers, who calls me out by name, hello. I'm not encouraging that. I'm just saying that is very sweet. When I was worried about the chat not working, and then to see a hi Don pop in is really reassuring. Aww. That's lovely. Yes. Also, a quick question from Winston, who asked if we have a showroom in Georgia. I will say I do believe we have a showroom in Georgia. I will check with Corey. Yes, we do have she is nodding. Yes, I should say Corey is also on the back end, and Corey is helping us with everything that you see on screen. And she doesn't get to be on screen, but she is also, I was talking in the beginning about fundamental stuff in the background that helps this work. Corey is 100% one of those things. I should also say we have a representative in Georgia. His name is Daniel. He is a fantastic human being. I love Daniel. Definitely, if you go through troteclaser.com, you can get your local contact information there and reach out to Daniel, and I know he will do a great job setting you guys up. Question for you, Kelly, from Jerry in the chat, asking if school purchase orders will work on the store, or maybe if there's a best way for a school who wants to put through a big PO to purchase a lot of materials.
Yes, put your purchase order. There's a place to put your purchase order number. So when you go to check out, it'll ask you for the mode of payment. Choose purchase order enabled. So choose purchase order. Even if you pay by credit card, you can choose purchase order if you think you want to add something, or if there's a material missing on our website and you want to add it, just choose purchase order and we'll add the product and pass the credit card after.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Also, I'll just mention really quickly that If you ever want to get a hold of us, other than filling out a contact form on the website, the best place to reach us is at shop@engraving-supplies.ca. So maybe we can just drop that in the chat somewhere, Corey, if you wouldn't mind doing that. That's the best place to reach customer service in Canada, because you get everybody and you'll get taken care of quickly.
100%. Not that you don't already. You already do.
We already do. We do our best. Do our best.
Speaking of teams that get back to you quickly and always do their best, I have a quick question for Duncan that I'm going to throw. I will say I love that a lot of the questions for Kelly are like, boy, I would love to see this, and could we please incorporate this? And then unfortunately, I have to say a huge hats off to Duncan, you and your team. I know you guys have to deal with a lot of tricky situations. You have to deal with days in which people are the least excited about their lasers. And so I just want to publicly give you a huge hats off to you and your team. I have a question for you from John from the chat asking about Ruby and stamp production. I know that it was something that we were implementing kind of bit by bit. Is there any sort of updates on stamp production or stamp usage in Ruby at all?
Yeah, so we do have stamp features now within Ruby itself. So you have the ability to, with the lettering on your stamp, to add a wider base, narrower base. You can work with the link technology that we had in our job control as well as now in Ruby. So when you're cutting out your stamps, you can keep the template and you just have a pop out from the sheet that you're engraving or cutting from. Ruby does have that feature enabled. We'll maybe send out a quick one sheet on how to maybe access that feature. I'll talk to my team about that. And yeah, we'll get that educated out. There should have been release notes as well, I believe, on Ruby 2.8 for that. There are a lot of options available for the stamp production now.
That's why I was excited to ask about it too, because I think there was a lot of implementations that came just in the previous update, was my understanding. So, and I know 2.9 is actually in the hopper right now. It's brewing in the background, and I think you guys will be seeing it very, very soon. So I hope you get excited for that one. Also, one more quick question for you, Duncan, about a web store for text. And I know that this is something, Timothy mentions it in the chat, but it's something that we've wanted to do for a long time. I want you guys to know, certainly, if you have any questions that you ever want to ask Trotec, drop them in the chat. Again, for anybody who's just joining us, we're going to try and grab as many questions as we can, but there's nothing that's off the table. We're here to talk to you guys. I think this is something, in my understanding, that we've wanted to do for a long time, but we wanted to be sure that we did it right. We didn't want, there's a lot of parts and there's a lot of different SKUs, and we want to be sure that you guys have. Is that a fair assessment, Duncan? It's something that I know we've been kind of rolling out, but.
Yeah, so we're looking for that. We understand and we hear that our customers are looking for more ways for service to be handled. And one of those is a self-service gateway. That's something that we're definitely looking into. One of the things we're looking for is, of course, logistics plays a big part in that. But going forward in the future, that is something that is on our waypoint, and we should see something like that in the future going on. Whether it's not all the supplies, we can definitely look into maybe including, top used items, maybe a motor or some belt replacements, objects that we can supply the clients with that require minimal instruction to replace and keep them up and running. I think that's a great way we should work.
Yeah, definitely. So I will ask to swing to a slightly separate topic, but still wanting to stay with you, Duncan. Duncan is based out of our Langley showroom in British Columbia. And next week we have an event coming up that I was wondering if you'd be able to talk just a little bit about sort of the open house and when it's happening and what people should look forward to.
Yeah, so we have an open house coming up in our Langley showroom here on the 30th, so Tuesday, July 30th. We'll have 2 sessions. They'll go an hour long each. They go starting from 10 a.m. and then our next session is at 2 p.m. It's an open doors. We'll have some donuts, some drinks. So if anyone's in the Langley, British Columbia area, feel free to come by and say hi. Dawn will be here as well.
I'm flying out specifically for the donuts and drinks. I don't want to make any bones about it. You guys are lovely, but donuts and drinks. I mean, look. I should say too that you can think of that open house very much like this seminar, but in large form. As I say, if you come for the morning session or the afternoon session, my understanding is, we'll have quite a team there. We want to show you guys some of the new stuff that's available on the lasers. We want to talk to you in greater detail than we can do here on the live about, things like our TroCare things like new launches on the machines, new machines that you might not have seen before. So please, if you're in the area, as Duncan says, I can't stress that enough. Definitely, we hope you'll come out and say hello. One more quick question. I will throw this over to Kelly, though, really fast. I will say, so you've been with the company for quite a few years. Well,
15.
Kelly is one of our...
Too early.
Yes, exactly. So I'm always excited to ask sort of how you've seen Trotec change over the years. Do you know what I mean? That, like, especially when we do one of these new sessions, we get to talk about the new web store. What are those things about the modern setup of Trotec that maybe a new customer can be excited about? I know you don't necessarily deal with the lasers a bunch. You can leave that side to me, but what are those things that are coming down the pipe you're excited about?
Just actually putting out new products and going back to the basics and doing the things that we used to do to try and help people, like these webinars. We haven't done one in over a year, and we used to do them regularly, and they really help people. So that, for me, I'm going to be focusing on those a lot this year, and trying to get to more live events. So we want to do a live workshop in Montreal. We want to do one in Toronto as well. We want to do materials based things, because people, yes, they need the information on the machines, but then afterwards they need all of the information about the materials. So
totally,
that's going to be my focus.
Oh, sorry, please.
Yeah, no, that was pretty much it.
I couldn't agree more. I think I asked that also partially as a way to say that we really do want to start having these webinars again as best we can. We're going to be doing them in French language as well, to make sure that they're accessible to as many people as we can. But they really are based on you guys. We want to be able to open up that communication line again, make sure that we have a way to chat with you, and sort of that you have a place to ask any questions you want to ask. Forgive me, I'm flapping here while I allow some questions to build up in chat so I can send them back. But I will quickly throw the same question over to Duncan. Is there anything that you know that's coming down the line, or anything you've seen in your time at Trotec that makes you really excited for what's coming up in the next 6 months, the next year, or even personally for you and your relationship with Trotec?
Yeah, I think as we've announced in the past year, this last year, we've actually merged our Canadian and US divisions. So we're now a North American entity. Going forward, there's a lot of changes coming with that, but the goal is greater and better support for all of our clients, more reliable, keeping them up and running, keeping production moving. These are all goals we're working towards, and these are the top of our list going forward for the next year. So I think when I look and see kind of the roadmap for the future, it's very exciting. We've never had this amount of ability to support our customers and have the pool of technicians just continually increase and grow so that we're meeting the demand that we're seeing. And it's very exciting. It's almost too much for me to talk about, to be honest. It's something that I know our clients have been waiting for, and we as the technical team have been very excited to get this enacted and getting people on the road. So I think what you'll see in the future is you'll hear from us much more immediately. You'll see service much quicker. And these are promises we're trying to not just live up to, but set a standard for in the engraving industry.
Nicely done.
Sorry.
Wait, please. Yeah.
Quickly, Duncan. I'm asking you this because outside of the tech division, one of the things that excites me about the tech division is us having our own branded filter system now. So we used to outsource it, and now we've taken on the Atmos filters, which is our own branded.
The Atmos filters, especially the new ones they released of the 300, 600, are really cool. The filters can be recycled. They're made out of cardboard boxes. It's not just a big box where you're stuffing these filters in. They're long lasting as well. We've seen clients 6 months to up to a year, depending on their usage. Wood is a little bit more intensive on the filters, acrylic as well. But if you're doing light lamicoid every now and then, you get a good lifespan out of it compared to what we saw with something like the Quattro, or maybe even additional filters we've seen in the US as well. Some people use dust extractors as well, which aren't the best option for extracting from your laser. You want to make sure you have a high static pressure to take out all the particulate that's being pushed up by the laser process.
True. That's a great question, Kelly. I will say too, is it fair to say, Duncan, that because we are building these machines, as Kelly alludes to, they're kind of optimized in a way so there's, because certainly something I hear from a sales perspective is, what is the best thing to buy? People are willing to choose whatever is that right decision, but they want to know that they're making the safe decision, because, a laser is an investment in your business. You want to be sure it lasts as long as possible. So, I guess, is it fair to say that they're sort of optimized or built, expressly for that purpose? You can feel good about, with the Atmos systems.
Exactly. We have all the ports you'll need for not just your top exhaust, but also your table exhaust. You have the full compatibility with all your units. You don't need to do any Y splits, anything crazy like that. But as I just mentioned, the big thing we're seeing with a lot of our customers and the longevity of their speedies is that the extraction just isn't powerful enough. They may be reading 300, 400 CFM, but the static pressure is at a point where we're really just spinning the smoke around the cabinet. So this is something we're really excited to have the new filters for in Canada and US.
Yeah. Well, and as you said too, the fact that they're more ecologically friendly too is kind of a nice bonus. The fact that they can be recycled, the fact that they are made, as you said, from wood and cardboard bags, you know what I mean. I think it's kind of a cool thing for us. A question for you, Kelly, on that ecological side as well.
Yeah.
Have we come any closer to, or if somebody's interested in recycling our acrylics or plastics, is that something that is available?
The acrylics and plastics are recyclable, but you can't put them in your regular recycling bin. You have to take them to a special recycling place. Okay. I don't know what that is, but I can find out. And if anybody wants to know that, then I've had that question a lot. Just send an email, and I'll get that information. But talking about eco-friendly, we do have some eco-friendly materials. So we have a TroCraft Eco, which is like it's like a mat board. So in a dresser drawer where you have those boards holding the back, just holds it sturdy. We have something like that. It's mostly for model making, but it's made out of all eco-friendly material, and it's biodegradable. Also, all of our acrylics, if you go on our website, you'll see some of them have like a green leaf on them. That's the Eco. She's showing you the TroCraft Eco, but that's
I love the Eco. It's
a mat
great.
board. Yeah. So for the acrylics, if you see a little green leaf on it, that means that it was made with an eco-friendly process. So it's more eco-friendly. The ones that don't have it, like you see on the screen right now, the purple and that clear one don't have it. That means they haven't run out of the old stock yet, but we are converting everything.
Okay. I was worried that we were having to wipe out the purple plant from the purple forest or something to make those.
No.
So is that fair to say then that most, if not all, of the new acrylics are made in an eco-friendly way?
All of the new ones, yes. So
awesome.
Anything where you see that sign, that means we've run out of stock and we've bought it with the eco-friendly stamp on it.
Awesome. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
So to quickly swap back to something that Duncan mentioned before, and I wanted to come back to you. Duncan, you mentioned you were excited about, I totally agree with you, by the way, the fact that the North American team not only means we can get back to you even quicker, but it also means we have access to even greater expertise, right? It's not just the expertise of a Canadian tech or an American tech, but it is the combination of that whole North American team. Because this is the first TroTalk webinar, and because we are kind of reminding people of some of the, like say, the web store, the best places to go, the best people to contact. If somebody has a technical question, what would be that best, just in Canada, say, for example, just because we happen to be from Canada, what would be the best way to go about that if you want to reach out to you or one of your team?
If you're looking to reach out to one of the technical team right now, our best way is to go through the My Trotec. So if you're in the US, it'd be mytrotec.com, or Canada, mytrotec.ca. Under there, we have a submit a ticket field. And from there, you'd be able to submit what your name is, your contact, what your question is, what your machine type is. And from there, we're going to be able to see an overview of your machine, any past tickets that you may have submitted. We're going to quickly overview to see if there's anything relevant for this recent case. We'll reach out to you by phone, by email. We will ask for questions, pictures. We'll try to get an understanding of what exactly you need. But if you're asking us a general question, like you need your license keys, or how would I process this material, submit a service ticket. Those tickets or those applications that we get in, those get flagged and get responded to. Quite often, either myself or one of our head customer service associates in the technical department will also reach out to you on that as well. For anything technical related, we have a couple options available. Don, do you mind just clicking on the service ticket option? So you'll see here, I'll take you to our form, which is just our general fill out section. This will take you, so when you put in your serial number, it'll sort you by country. We'll get you into the proper queue. And from there, the assigned technicians will reach out and get your problem solved. If you go back one page, we actually also have our TroCare priority ticket, which is a little bit of a faster queue, but it's in line with our TroCare Protect program. So this is going to get you a quicker response, get you into a different queue compared to our standard one. But this is where you would go if you have the TroCare and you need an immediate response. With TroCare, we don't have to quote you any parts. We don't have to quote you any service, any travel. It's really a simpler solution for getting your machine back up and running in a short amount of time. We don't have to go through any POs or credit card approvals. And then finally, if we go back one more page, we have our application ticket. And so here is where you can put any design questions you may have, any artwork questions. We do try to get to this one as soon as we can, but our main obligation at this point is making sure that everyone's lasers are working. So if you do submit here, we ask for maybe a day wait, and we'll do our best to absolutely get back to you on this.
Totally. I think that's understandable.
Will it let you submit a ticket without a serial number?
It will, but the sorting of that ticket gets lost. So the reply of that ticket's a little slower as we need to manually grab that out of a global queue. And if multiple people do that, you could fall down that list quite quickly. So it's really great to make sure that you have all your details filled out.
Yeah, I guess I was asking more in the case of a customer who doesn't have a Trotec, which some people don't have one, that if we are able to help them with application type questions. I know we can't help with settings and parameters because they're totally different with ours, but
a little caveat about that too is each machine is going to have a slightly different power level. So our recommended settings might not be perfect at first.
Yeah.
But we'll go back and forth with you on how to adjust power, speed, DPI or hertz if you need to adjust those as well. This kind of relates into what you were saying with the casted versus extruded acrylic. Some are clear, some are not. We can adjust those settings to get the desired outcome.
Yeah.
I would also always encourage, if you're interested in learning about how to do a particular application, check out our YouTube. Our YouTube and the American YouTube, even the global YouTube channels have some fantastic videos, not only just about how to do a particular application. We were talking earlier about the mirror acrylic, Kelly, when you were talking about that, but also how to test settings, because Duncan's exactly right. The settings that come with your laser, I always think are a great jumping off point, but the best thing you can do, I think, as a laser user is learn how to test settings as a first step so that you can tackle any material at that point. Once you know how to find the settings that are right for you, you don't have to worry about any material in the future, whether it's one that comes pre-built into the software or not. You can just kind of let it rip. There are actually a couple questions here in the chat too that we're asking about specific applications. I would say for things like seals and stamps and things of that nature. This is something we sort of talked a little bit about earlier. I don't know if we can dive in super deep, but I will say that there is a great video about seals on our YouTube channel. I would totally steer you over there. I have a great question here from Timothy I want to throw to you, Duncan. Again, no wrong answers. If it's something that's still in the works, I just want to encourage my friends that, we're here to be super honest, but I have to ask, any update on that Ruby API? Or have we heard anything about it coming down the pipe?
So I've heard it is in the pipeline. I don't have much more detail than that. I know a lot of the feature has been, or not the feature, but a lot of focus has been getting things like stamps enabled, getting our grouping and ungrouping in Ruby. So we're still working on adding features to Ruby, and then we'll have some more integration API likely available in the future. But as of right now, there's no update on the API. Apologies for that.
No, I mean, look, no need to apologize. You do not develop the software yourself, but I've heard the same thing. I've heard that it's coming down. Yeah, indeed. I've heard that it's coming down the pipe here at some point. But it is an exciting thing for the future. Quick question over for you, Kelly. Do you feel like there is a material that is a hidden gem? Do you feel like we have a material that I think the eco would be my go-to answer, and you've already covered off the eco, so I have to throw the question over to you.
That's a hidden gem.
Obviously, the Tro Lays and the Tro Glass get a lot of flash.
I think
but
some of the specialty Tro Glasses, and some of the new Tro Lays that are coming out. We have some wood grain Tro Lays that are coming out, and some carbon look, steel look that are coming out. Those are going to be fantastic.
We do.
Sorry, carbon Tro Lays is what you said.
Yeah, it's a Tro Lays, but it looks like the carbon.
Like carbon fiber style.
Carbon fiber, yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
That's cool.
So many things on my car in carbon fiber. It's gonna be
now Tro Lays.
So some really exciting ones coming out, and the problem is that some of the hidden gems that we had, is that North America is a little behind Europe in terms of the trends. So our head office will release something, and then it'll only really catch up a year or two later here. So by the time it starts picking up here, they've discontinued it, and we're asking them to bring it back. But we can do that if we have the demand for it. So
if somebody were excited to see a particular material or to ask a question about an existing material, would that shop at engraving-supplies email that you mentioned before be the place to go with? Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Or you could email me directly as well. It's just my first name and my last name at troteclaser.com. And my last name is Devereaux. So if you can find me, you can email me directly. But the shop one is the best because you have 5 people in there answering questions.
Totally. And that's why I was so glad too that Duncan, you mentioned the application ticket. I want to be sure that people understand there's no question. I don't know how to put this. I'll say it the way that I would say it. When I started at Trotec, I was very nervous to ask questions about how to do an application or what's the best settings for this, because I felt like, I should know how to test it, or you should just know if you have a Trotec laser, you should just know, but there's no bad questions. There's kind of that's what the application ticket is for, right? Just because you don't have a technical question doesn't mean, we're not open to hearing that question or trying to help you out.
Yeah.
And I just want to quickly talk on Pete's question he had there, just regarding an online or downloadable tutorial for Ruby users. We do have an online resource available to you at rubyhelp.com. If you go there, we have video tutorials on how to set up Ruby, work through Ruby, first steps and guides. We also have troubleshooting, the online handbook, and all the release notes. So if you're curious about what each release of Ruby brings, that's a great list to refer to and just have a clear, objective understanding of what we've imported to Ruby and what isn't there yet.
Awesome. So once again, that's Ruby Help, right?
rubyhelp.com, or you can go to troteclaser.com, and just under Learn and Support, we have a Ruby Help selection as well.
Awesome. I have another question quickly for you, Duncan, based on Daniel's question, who asks about the good static pressure for a Speedy 300. I'm not sure if you will know off the top of your head what a good static pressure for that specific machine would be, but curious to know where people might go if they were looking for that information.
That's the point where it gets kind of funky. So it depends on the type of run you're running. If you have a couple 90s, if you have a couple straight stretches, what I would recommend is to actually reach out to one of our technicians directly, just to do an overview of how long your run is, where your machine is, and we can give you very good understanding of what that static pressure should be. And we can maybe give you some tips and tricks on how to optimize your flow as it is right now without buying any additional vents or anything like that.
So when you say a run, you mean, are we talking about the distance between the ventilation machine and the laser itself?
Correct. So that hose that goes between the laser and the vent, and maybe to outside, wherever it may be, if you have a couple 90s, or if you're running a couple loops within that chain, that actually adds an incredible amount of drag to your suction. And so you're removing your ability to have a higher static pressure by having too much run or too many 90s. The trick of the trade is 245s are always better than 190. You're going to get a far better suction out of that. So I would really recommend sorry, Daniel was it? Yes. Daniel, please submit a ticket with us and we can get back to you on this with some more details. And we'll just ask for a site picture of just how your current setup is.
Totally. How it was always explained to me too is the closer that your, whatever it is, dust collector, suction, your Atmos can be to your laser, the better you're going to be in general, right? Just looking here because Daniel posted acceptable at the back of the machine. Okay, so what I will say, I think we'll be able to follow up with a data sheet for you, Daniel, would be my understanding. But kind of a quick follow up to that. Is there such a thing as too much? Because I'm thinking about Daniel is right on the cusp of, if you have a Speedy 300, we would typically refer you towards the smaller of the two new Atmos systems, right? If you see them, if there's the 300 and the 600.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as having too much power or too much suction? Are you better to stick to the one that's better suited to your machine, or is just more power always better?
I haven't run into that issue yet. I mean, if ultimately from the tech side, if we just want the opinion on that, a better exhaust system is going to increase the lifespan of your device because it's decreasing the amount of vapor and materials that are resting on, 1, your optics, 2, your mechanics, and 3, your electronics. So if you do get to the point where you've upped your ventilation to the point where you see the belts on your side of your machine shaking, I would say you're in pretty good territory. You're grabbing all the air and pulling it out of there. You got a very good negative air cavity. It's great. You won't have any leakage of any smells, and you won't require as much service or part replacement as well. If you find yourself needing to have to constantly have to replace a motor or have to replace your bearings, that's something we would usually point to look at is how are we extracting? Is everything getting out okay?
Okay, a final question on this topic for you, because I know it's one that I got yesterday. Are there certain materials where, and maybe I'll throw this to Kelly as well, but I'll get your opinion on it first. You mentioned smells. Are there certain materials where you could have the king of all fans at the back of that machine, but if you're cutting troll laser, you're cutting acrylic, like, should you be concerned about smells? And is it just sometimes you're just going to have, I mean, some of those materials do be stinky.
Some of them are stinky, of course. I think if you're processing and you are smelling an off gas of that product, you're going to want to reevaluate your setup. There's a long-term health impact that can be quite serious if you leave this unattended. It's one of those silent things that if we don't acknowledge it and we don't look at it, it can be a problem in the future. And not just for the machine, but also your biological machine as well. That can suffer from that. So if you are smelling anything, I would maybe take a look at your seals, take a look at, how is the smoke heading out of the cabinet when it's being processed? Is it billowing and kind of hanging around the cabinet, or is it being sucked directly out those back grills? That should be a good indication visually if you're seeing that you need to take a look at it. If you're seeing smoke build up and it's taking 3 or 4 seconds to exit that cavity, I highly recommend talk with us just before anything else can possibly go wrong.
Yeah. I like too what you mentioned about the belt shaking. I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, that's very true. You're exactly right.
Can I mention something about mytrotec.ca too before I forget?
Please.
Sorry. Also on mytrotec.ca is a really good resource for anybody dealing with Trotec, because in there you have a marketing section that has our catalogs and stuff in it, and in there is the engraver's guide. And in the engraver's guide are QR codes to do almost anything. So along with the YouTube channel, the engraver's guide will teach you all kinds of tips and tricks about what machine does what, how to do test pads, how to do pretty much anything. So it's a really good resource. And also coming up, there's going to be a customer portal on there where you can sign in and see all of your orders, you could get your invoices all yourself. You'll be able to have a better handle on what's going on with you and us. So I just wanted to mention that before I forget.
No, I'm glad you did.
Play around in there. Go look in the tabs, see what's there, because those resources are there for you.
Particularly also, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I know we had we were talking about school POs specifically earlier, and I know in my TroTalk there's a fantastic section for educators and for schools specifically where we've set aside all those materials just for you. So definitely, absolutely, Kelly's exactly right. Please go check that out. It's
and
great stuff.
I didn't finish that answer, actually. Thank you for bringing that up. But well, basically you just need to put your PO number in the PO space, and that's their way of, because they're entering the order. So it's like a school PO. As long as there's a PO number, we're good.
Awesome.
Sorry that took so long to answer that one little question.
No, not at all. Do we give special, is there a discount that's available for schools as well?
Yep, there's some educational programs, so they just need to reach out and ask about it, and we'll set something up.
Awesome. You can rest assured, guys, too, that once we have the customer portal launch, we will definitely be hosting one of these to take you through it and show you all the cool features that are available. So quick question over to you then, Kelly. We were talking about stinky materials.
Stinky materials. Some smell good, some don't.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, kind of to cap this off, we're getting near the top of the hour, but there's a question here. It is from Jerry asking about the photos of these stinky materials on our web store, wondering if they're being updated.
Yes, we are gathering all of the photos. When we launch the store, I'll just explain why that is. In Canada, we have about 4,000 materials. In the rest of the world, they have about 1,000. So anything that they carry was taken care of by the people building the website. Anything that we carry on top of that, we have to do ourselves. So right now, we're just gathering all of that information, and you'll start to see them populating with photos very soon.
Awesome. Kelly can only take so many pictures per day. You guys, she's back there 8 hours a day, snapping away. But I am excited, particularly with some of the new Trolazes and the new products that are coming out, like you were saying, to be able to see, because obviously you want to be able to see ahead of time how they look and all that stuff.
If you go to the Austria site, and choose the Austria country, you'll be able to see what they look like.
Well, this is like the secret hack. This is like awesome. So you mentioned Troll points were getting ported over. That's really great. Just looking to see if I have anything else here. Really quickly, I want to circle back also to, just as we're getting near the end of the event, the open house, again, as Daniel said, next Tuesday the 30th, you said, right, Duncan? Sorry.
Tuesday the 30th, yeah.
Awesome. Definitely come on out if you're in the area. We can't encourage you enough. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. As you said, donuts and drinks and Duncan. So
Dunkin' Donuts.
All the way to the end. Definitely check us out. That's in Langley. That is going to be next Tuesday, and we hope you're excited to come on and check it out. I think we will probably close it down here pretty quickly. I will come back to each of you. Once again, is there anything here just at the very end you'd like to throw out? Any questions from you? Any hellos or requests from the customers? Anything you're excited for people to know about, even if it's something we talked about in the beginning of the stream?
There's a couple of questions I didn't get to answer that I'd just like to answer for in here.
Please, so lightning round.
Acerlay engraving, when will Ruby start importing Corel files correctly? This is typically an issue we have seen on a local PC base, not directly with Ruby itself. So if you are experiencing this issue, I would maybe recommend to look into your Corel installation, make sure that the drivers are all up to date. If you could perform a reinstallation, that's always a really good troubleshooting step. Our Ruby manager is just taking the detail from whatever may be populated from Corel. Typically, when we find an error between there, it's the packager Corel that's creating an issue that's having a hard time for Ruby. If you don't believe that is the way to go, another troubleshooting step is to use Ruby on a second computer and go ahead and try to import that file again into that one. If you have the same issue, we know that Ruby is reading the file consistently and that we might want to take a look back onto the printer driver for Corel, or possibly maybe there's some back-end lines that aren't showing up in the background as well. I also wanted to, I saw you as well, John. What should the CFM be in the machine for a Speedy 300? The CFM, we usually recommend a standard. If you're using a third party, you want to go around 400 CFM. The static pressure is what changes with the distance of the run that you're using. So if you're within 2 meters or so of your machine to the blower, you'd want to be somewhere around 6 inches of static pressure. But if you're doing a longer stretch, if you're in a production shop and you're running your exhaust line up and out the roof or whatever it may be, you may want to go up to something like 10 inches as well.
Is there
if you've had multiple tickets, I would multiple, not tickets, but multiple issues with Corel, I would possibly submit a ticket. We can evaluate that as well. We'd love to see that issue. So if it's something that is Ruby, we can take a look at getting that resolved.
Question for you really quickly too, Duncan, about the static pressure you're mentioning. Is there an easy way to measure that, or does it require a special tool?
There is a tool for that.
Gotcha.
So you may want to call in an HVAC professional. A lot of these times, the value of the machine is worth so much more than just making sure your setup is correct the first time. Laser tubes, for example, if we replace it, it's a cost that's over $6,000 for replacement. If you have to buy it brand new, it gets much more costly. So we really recommend take a look at your setup, see if you have any questions. If you do, we're here at mytrotec.ca.com. We'll answer it for you. We have a little cheat sheet that you could supply an HVAC as well, which just lists the distance, the CFM we like, and the static pressure for that distance as well. So let us know if you need that support, and we're here for you.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't realize about that cheat sheet. That's really nice.
You should send us that cheat sheet.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Protect my.
Yeah.
Well, it helps us because we, in customer service, we get a lot of the calls. So if we can answer really easy questions, then.
For sure. We'll include that to everybody in the team, and everyone can refer to that as well. So if you do have any question about exhaust, our entire team is ready to support.
Yes.
We'll send you to Duncan.
Please don't call me. I need the cheat sheet as well. I will say too that you make a really good point there that although we do supply the Atmos Pure machines, and although extraction is such a fundamental part of your laser setup, it is not really our specialty, right? Is that a fair thing to say? That like much as it is an additional expense, Duncan, would you typically recommend having an HVAC technician come in just to be sure? Because again, your Trotec technician is obviously going to do their best, but at the same time, they are not HVAC specialized, right?
For sure. It's something that we've learned and picked up, and we've got experience with helping our clients. But we always recommend go with the pro, protect your unit, protect your production. A higher static pressure also equals a cleaner end product. You don't have to clean as much of the residue off your work objects. So I would recommend, if you do have questions, feel free to come to us. If we don't have the answer to that question, we'll be transparent with you, and we'll let you know this is probably best with an HVAC professional. We'd recommend someone on site. We want to be a partner with you. We want to work with you, not just sell you constantly information and maybe give you bad advice. We want to make sure that you're in the right spot to succeed.
Yes. And I think that's a great way to wrap up this webinar, because I think that's also the mission of this webinar. It's not going to be gated. It's not anything like that. If you come onto our YouTube channels, we want it to be available for you. These are all questions and answers that we get a lot. And hopefully if we can start to build up a repository of kind of FAQs, that would be fantastic. As we said in the beginning, we really just want to be here for you guys. That's the whole point of us being here. Kelly, I'll throw it back to you here just at the very end too. Anything you want to make sure that people, if they joined in late or anything like that, anything you want to be sure they don't miss? Is it to check out the new web store? Is it new products?
Yeah. New products coming, new web store. If you need to get a hold of us, shop at engraving-supplies.ca. Any of us can help you in there. If we can't, we can send you to somebody who can. Look out for new announcements about the new releases and the portal that's coming. We got lots of really fun stuff coming.
Awesome. I really appreciate it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Really quickly, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't throw Duncan under the bus here at the very last second. Any Ruby hot folders? Is Ruby equipped for hot folders, and are you able to put them on multiple computers?
That is something that is in the works. We technically have a hot folder with the way we work with client and server relationship with Ruby. So as long as you're on the local area network, you can actually use our remote login settings to log in from any PC to that instance of Ruby on that computer. Multiple accounts could be added. You can have multiple users, operators, and they can all be logged in at the same time, just not the same profile on multiple PCs. So if they log in on PC 1, it'll log them out on PC 2, vice versa. So I would maybe recommend, if you're looking for a hot folder option, to take a look at our remote access settings for the server, for Ruby server. That is the default configuration that's there. It's just under menu, under users, and then you'll see a remote access tab, and that'll give you the URL as well as the security certificate to log in through your network to Ruby. And then that you can print from as many computers, as many users to that central queue.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Once again, a huge thank you to everybody who joined us in chat. If you are watching the VOD of this on YouTube down the line, thank you very much for joining us. Don't hesitate to leave any questions in the YouTube comments. We will definitely do our best to get to those as soon as we can. Once again, another big thank you to Kelly and to Duncan. A reminder to all of you, not at all, we're going to be trying to host these as often as we can. So please sign up for our emails so that Corey and the talented marketing team that we have here at Trotec can let you know when they're coming up. And the same with our French users, although I doubt very much whether you would be watching this particular webinar. I'm realizing after I've already launched into this sentence. A huge thank you to you guys for joining the first TroTalk. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Happy redaction.